is up, boys and girls? It's your pal right here, the one and only, the Black Avenger, aka the Black Azrael Lee Sanders, coming at you with another really cool kick-ass album review. As this time around, we are talking about what is, without a doubt, one of the best male vocalists of all time. He is considered to be one of the rock gods, classic rock gods. Of course, I'm talking about former Led Zeppelin frontman, the Robert Plant. He has a new studio album titled Lullaby and the Ceaseless Roar. Now, it's currently available out in the UK right now, as it is Monday, September 8th, 2014. This album will be available in North America and probably everywhere else on Tuesday, September 8th. I had a good buddy of mine from the UK actually hook me up with a copy of this album, and he knows that by hooking me up with a Robert Plant album, that first and foremost, I own every single Robert Plant album that there is out there. I definitely put the money out there to grab it. I'm definitely going to be going to my local Best Buy, FYE, tomorrow, and I'm definitely going to be picking up this new album. This is actually the first time, as long as we've been doing album reviews, that I have the opportunity to review a Robert Plant album. It's just such great honor. I'm humbled at this, as I have a really cool story to tell you about an experience I had at a Robert Plant concert a couple of years back. I'll tell you a little bit more about that towards the end of this piece, but for now, just kick on back, enjoy this review. If you're a little bit on the fence, if you're not really sure if you should get this album, this review should help you, well, most definitely. And as always, you can share your thoughts with us by posting those comments right down below. You can also find us out on Twitter at the RCWR Show, Facebook at Infinity One Productions, to infinity and beyond. Infinity One Productions. That's Infinity with an E. Throw the actual number 1 in there. As always, share this, Google Plus it, retweet it. One of many ways you can spread a good word about our content. Let's have at it, man. So, interesting notes about this 10th studio album that's released by Robert Plant that I thought you guys should definitely be paying very close attention to, especially you hardcore Robert Plant fans and all that. This 10th studio album that is getting ready to come out, or is already out in some parts, it's the first follow-up to 2010's Robert Plant's Band of Joy album. That was the album which he had at the time girlfriend Patty Griffin on the album with him and everything, contributing. You go a couple of years further back, you had the whole Raising Sand with Alison Krauss. But then if you kind of just jump forward a little bit, really 2010's Band of Joy, that was like the last thing we heard from Plant. Now, it's interesting that we've got this album pretty much almost 4 years later, but then when you really think about it, as far as this new album, which is a new album of new material, it's the first Robert Plant album of new material since 2005's Mighty Rearranger. And on that album, he was backed up by The Strange Sensation. Now, a lot has happened when you just jump to now. The band that's backing up Robert Plant on this new album, if you want to get technical, it is The Strange Sensation, but now they're calling themselves the Sensational Space Shifters. Why they did the name change, I have the slightest clue. That's actually something I'd like to learn about at a later date. I'm sure that they probably had talked about it very candidly in an interview, but pretty much all the guys that was in The Strange Sensation are back this go round for this particular album. So, and I took down some really good notes for you guys. Make sure I'm definitely on point for this one. But Justin Adams, he's back on guitar, backing vocals. And I just gotta say, if you are familiar with Justin Adams, you're really missing out. He is without a doubt one of the best, and I dare say one of the most underrated guitarist of our time. His work is just freaking superb. I love it when this guy does his solos. That's the thing that I love about guitarists for me in my book. I love those guitarists that not only can they just kick ass when they do a really great solo, but they can command presence on a track even when they don't have a solo. And there's some really great tracks on this album that really stands out, where Justin, you could just get lost in his guitar work. He does have that signature sound, you know, that signature sound like a Eddie Van Halen, or like a Jerry Cantrell, Prince for that matter. He's got his own, Brian May, he's got his own unique signature sound. If you've been following his career long enough, very underrated guitarist, did some really great work on this album. Check out some of his other previous stuff when you guys get the chance. You definitely will not be disappointed. But Justin Adams, he's back on this one. John Baggett is back on keyboard, piano, loops. Liam Skin Tyson, he's on the banjo. He's also on guitar, backup vocals. Billy Fuller, he's on bass, electric drum, programming. Pretty much, that's the Strange Sensation right there. But they're now being dubbed the Sensational Space Shifters. If you know Robert Plant, you know of his discography, you know that pretty much the first time that the Strange Sensation had came about, it was on Robert Plant's 2002's Dreamland album, which was nothing but a bunch of cover songs, and then that would be followed up by 2005's Mighty Rearranger. This time, the album was titled Robert Plant and the Strange Sensation, Mighty Rearranger. They did release a live album. I think it was last year that it came out, or maybe it was 2012 that the live album had came out as the Sensational Space Shifters. So if you guys don't have that in your inventory, it's actually something pretty cool that you might want to check out to kind of give you a little bit of a taste on what you can expect with regards to this new album here. The producer for this album, this go round, normally he gets a little bit of help from somebody on the various albums, but on this 10th studio album, Robert Plant is actually the sole producer for this one. This is the first time that he's just been by himself producing the album in its entirety and all that. Really, the first since 1982's Pictures at 11, his debut album. So, I mean, you talk about a huge gap right there, and you go all the way to now. Yeah, only 2 albums has Robert Plant just been the man, put his stamp on it. Nobody else is there. I think that's pretty badass. And, you know, this album, this has to be, and I've been a Robert Plant fan for many years now. I mean, as far back as, God, being a kid in the 80s, you know, I remember his solo work from even back then, and being a fan of his work from when he was doing his thing with the Honey Drippers, Sea of Love, Rockin' at Midnight, to the solo albums that he was putting out. My God, this is, of all the albums I've come across, it's the most heaviest. It's very dark. It's depressing as hell. I'm not bashing it in any type of way. It's just, I gotta call it how I see it. I mean, there is a lot of love, loss, heartache, all that on this album. It's a beautifully dark masterpiece, and I think it has the type of mood swing that it has as a result of Robert Plant breaking up with Patty. I don't know if you guys had heard about that, or if you were even following what was going on with Plant's personal life like that. I try to stay clear of that, but it's a topic that I found to be one of great interest to a lot of Robert Plant fans. A lot of people want to know what was up with his love life and everything. For a hot minute, these two girls, I was about to say these two girls, forgive me there, folks. But for a brief moment there, these two guys, they actually did date one another. They were a couple. They lived with each other. They traveled all around the world. Of course, you all know, that's familiar with Patty's catalog. Robert had actually helped her out on some of her material, even appeared in a music video for her, I think sometime last year and all that. And he had recently confirmed in an interview, probably about maybe a week ago, or maybe a week and a half max, that he and Patty, that they were done. Basically, he didn't go into all the juicy details on it, but he basically said, you know, we just kind of realized that we clashed on certain things, and and he just kind of pretty much left it at that. But you could kind of tell that they were going in different directions, and she wasn't really too keen on the direction that he was going, or the person that he was starting to become. And that's pretty much how their relationship ended. Sounded like it ended peacefully. I'm not really sure, but I just know, as far as this album goes, it's dark, it's heavy as hell. Let's talk about some of the tracks. I'm definitely going to just cherry pick some of the main tracks that I thought really stood out the most for this album, that I definitely think you guys should check out, whether it's individually or you like and you just end up checking out the whole album in its entirety. More kudos to you. But Little Maggie, great opener right there. You got the banjos playing in the background. It's got a nice country blues, goes West African midway towards the end of the track. Basically, it's just Plant talking about how the last time he saw this young girl named Maggie, basically things weren't going quite right between the two of them, and seems as though maybe she left him. He's not really sure, but he's just said to himself, okay, you know what, I'm not going to be sitting around here wondering. I'm just going to go ahead and leave Maggie. So you got the first breakup officially right there on that track. And then you go into Rainbow. I love the drumming in the loop section for Rainbow. Probably one of the most standout tracks of this entire album. It's got a little bit of a vibe to a previous Robert Plant album. I want to say I want to say Fate of Nations. 1993's Fate of Nations. It kind of has a down by the seaside type of vibe to it, almost. But that's a track right there where you really kind of pay attention to the lyrics. It's just to follow up on what I said in a previous review about the Rainbow track. It just basically comes off like Plant's just in this position where he's saying, no matter what type of bad stuff goes down, no matter what trials, what tribulations happen, there's always going to be that bright spot. I'm always going to be that rainbow. I'm always going to be able to carry on, kind of like look on the bright side of things. He's trying very hard to look for that rainbow. And that's basically the vibe I'm kind of getting from that particular track. Pocket of Golden. It has a nice thank you reference. You'll know it when you see it. I don't want to, or hear it. I don't want to spoil it for you guys, but it has lyrically a thank you reference from the track on Led Zeppelin 2. I thought that was a pretty interesting track right there. Embrace Another Fall. That is a track, another really, really heavy freaking track, where basically Plant is talking about reminiscing, remembering the love that he had that walked into his life. Somehow it awakened him. It heightened his senses, senses that he didn't know had existed, and then it basically was taken away from him, and now he's just in this position where he's finding that he doesn't really have that many summers left. So if you really kind of think about it, it just sounds like this man is kind of saying to you as you're listening to this track that, once again, he fell in love, but he lost it again, and he found love again, but then he lost it again, and he realizes that he's not getting any younger, that with each season that passes, he's getting older to the point that he's knocking on heaven's door, Very heavy, dark track right there. Turn It Up. It has a nice, lyrically wise, it has a nice reference to 1993's Fate of Nations album. I want to say Great Spirits is the track that it kind of references to. Here's one where he's struggling from within with his feelings. He's at a crossroads. He's not really sure, you know, what direction to go. He's trying to get to that point where he can kind of turn things up a notch, I guess, with his life. Another heavy track right there. Somebody There. Oh, love that track. Very good track. Most standout track as well. I mean, so far I've singled out Rainbow for you guys. Embrace Another Fall was definitely another one. Somebody There. Definitely, if you guys are looking for that whole rock or just a little bit of a tease of rock in Robert Plant throughout this whole album, you're gonna find it on that particular track. I'm very curious to know if that has gotten a lot of radio play yet, because that track just really kicks ass. That's another one where he's reminiscing, he's reflecting on how time has passed, as it opens up with him talking about how, when you're a kid, you don't really think much of time. You don't think about the unknown. You have the curiosity though, but you're not thinking about the whole adult stuff or whatever. But then as you get older, you just start to crave more, and the journey, I guess, spiritually, it just takes you on this course where whatever happens or whatever the unknown is, you don't care. You're going to gravitate towards it for that knowledge and all that. Nice track right there. Poor Howard. That's a nice country song right there. Banjos. I got to give props to Liam on the banjos, man. He was definitely rocking on this one. But Poor Howard, lyrically, there's not much here on this song. Basically, it pretty much goes, poor Howard, he basically got distracted by a little girl, pretty little girl, with a red dress on. That's another little reference for you. He's borrowing little lyric elements from previous albums. Plant has always been like this. I mean, if anybody knows how to do it very well, he definitely knows how to do it very well. But as you guys recall, he did a cover of Pretty Little Girl in the Red Dress on the Dreamland album. So here he is again, kind of playing with the lyrics a little bit on this one. And basically he's just kind of taking a little bit of a fun jab at poor Howard for being distracted by this pretty little girl with a red dress on. And poor Howard, he's like nowhere to be found because he's running after this young girl and has left him all alone to sing the song. Okay, so that's it right there. House of Love, I could have actually went without that track. I didn't think it was a weak track, but it wasn't the strongest out of the entire album. I could have actually done without it. This track right here to basically close up the album, Up on a Hollow Hill, Understanding Arthur. That right there, man, if they don't turn that into a music video, I'd be a little bit disappointed. That's one track right there I would recommend you guys to go out of your way and try to listen to at all costs. I have played that track so many times, it's not even funny. I am thinking of the rating scale that I gave a lot of these tracks, from a scale of 1 to 5, 1 being the least favorite, 5 being the absolute. Totally, it kicks ass. I gave it a 5 out of 5, and it's just got this nice, I love how it just slowly gets you in the ear, and then it holds you, and then your mind just visually is just locked in. And the way Plant just performs throughout this entire album, he's coming in, you hear the heaviness in his voice, the wisdom, and you just really feel the pain of what he's been experiencing as far as the heartbreak, the loss. One minute he has love, the next minute he doesn't, and it all just brilliantly plays so nicely on Up on a Hollow Hill, because on this track we find Plant basically soothing but yet aching as he reminisces about wanting, praying, craving for a love to take his breath away. And then it's like, in the same song, he talks about how he did have it, and he goes over the tribulations, or it just seems like the heartache that he had to go through to get it, but then it's gone again, and once again, he's just left speechless. His breath is taken away once again. Aberdeen, that's pretty much a 2-minute track. It's just a lot of good instrumental, got a little nice West African vibe to it, as you kind of hear some African chants that's going on. But the one thing that is clear towards the end, Plant comes on and he's saying, "I'm leaving." It kind of, a lot of these tracks, it kind of almost has just little shades of Led Zeppelin's first album, I want to say. Babe, I'm gonna leave you, and a little bit of Dazed and Confused, but I'd have to say overall with regards to this album, it's beautifully a dark masterpiece, the most heaviest Robert Plant album I've ever come across today. I'd highly recommend that you guys go on ahead and check it out. If you are not familiar with Led Zeppelin, first off, shame on you. Go scoop up the Led Zeppelin catalog. Surely you have a friend or two that's in the Led Zeppelin. Scoop that up, all right? Then go scoop yourself up some Robert Plant albums if you don't have that already. If you need a good Robert Plant album to start with, I'm just thinking from a compilation standpoint. There is a 3-disc Robert Plant Greatest Hits set that came out not too long ago. It was only available in the UK. Now, if you look on eBay or Amazon, you're probably going to find a 2-disc set. But if you look hard enough, you know the right places to look, you can actually find a 3-disc set. It pretty much does a really great job, I think, in covering his entire solo career, right on up until about 2007, when he had teamed up with country singer Alison Krauss to do the Raising Sand album. But I enjoyed this album a lot. It's definitely got the high replay value, I feel. A lot of the tracks that I have found myself, really kind of looking at and saying, okay, 1 star, 3 star. First off, weakest track I felt, House of Love. You can just go without that. But a majority of the tracks have 3 stars, 4 stars. The ones that stand out the most, definitely Rainbow, Stolen Kiss, Turn It Up, Somebody There, and Up on a Hollow Hill. So, out of 11 tracks, I've basically given you 6 tracks that's like really kick-ass that you can go check out for yourself. And it's kind of interesting that with regards to this album, Robert Plant has said in a recent interview that this album, it could be his last. Now, I'm not really sure if that's a result of, the stuff that's gone down between he and Patty, or if just creatively he feels that he's come full circle with his musical career, that the journey is finally over because maybe he feels he's reached his peak creatively. And if that's so, then you know what? I have to say, damn good ride. It's awesome that he's ending it on such a really great note. At the same time, I hope that isn't it for him. I love to see him do some more stuff. I know a lot of people, and I said this in the other review, but I don't want to go overkill on it, but I know a lot of people, they've been taking shots at Robert Plant over the years, and they've been wanting for him to get back with Led Zeppelin, make something happen, go on a reunion tour, maybe do an album of new material and all that. I don't know what the future holds for Led Zeppelin. I just know I'm not holding my breath waiting for a Led Zeppelin reunion, waiting for Led Zeppelin material, especially knowing that Plant has said to Jimmy Page over the years, look, we can definitely try to do something, and they have. To Plant's credit, he and Jimmy Page, they have gone to the studio many times over the years, and they've tried to work out some stuff, but the chemistry, the magic is just, for some reason, it's just not clicking with them. And maybe that's because Plant has been more in tune with what's been happening in music over the years, as opposed to Jimmy Page, who's just, all these years that has passed, he's just been, I won't say infatuated because that's the wrong word to use, but he's just been caught up in all things Led Zeppelin. Like, he hasn't gone life outside of Led Zeppelin, and it's just gotten to the point that even Plant is saying, hey, Jimmy, musically, you're one of the best fucking guitarists that's out there. Get out there, make some new music, go on tour. You know what you're capable of musically. You're a genius. It's time for the world to really be able to appreciate that. Do that, you know, and it's kind of unfortunate that, you know, Jimmy Page wants to keep pushing the whole Led Zeppelin thing, but, you know, Plant has always said to Jimmy, look, I'm willing to do something, you know, maybe we could do like an acoustic album of new material, who knows, but Plant's open. I just think, and I appreciate Plant's argument of, he doesn't want to be a jukebox hit, he doesn't want to be going around playing the same old hits, you know. He doesn't want to be like the Rolling Stones and a whole bunch of other bands that's still just going around, and they're the bands that you hear about on the cruise ships, you know, and you're kind of like, oh, they're doing that, or they're doing a bar mitzvah or whatever, you know. He doesn't want to be like that, and honestly, there's nothing wrong with trying to keep your integrity music-wise, music career-wise, intact, and I definitely respect him for that, and I think other people should try to follow in those same footsteps as well, and not just sweat over, you know, oh, Led Zeppelin, because it's just not going to happen. If it hasn't happened by now, why would it happen? You know, if it hasn't happened by now, what makes you think it's going to happen in the future? That's my whole thing. So, see, what more can I say? Oh, you know, I had the opportunity to see Robert Plant back in 2011 in Washington, D.C. He performed at Constitution Hall, and it was like one of the most surreal experiences that I ever had. He was there with Band of Joy. They bust out a couple of Led Zeppelin hits and all of that, but great night that I'll never forget. I will never forget it. It was an awesome concert. And it was great seeing the man there in the flesh. So far, he is on a limited tour. There's only like but a handful of dates in support of this new album. But hopefully in the coming year, he'll be going to a lot more places. Because honestly, if it is going to be the last time that he's going to be putting out an album, if he is going to be riding into the sunset, then I definitely would encourage you, Robert Plant fans, to try to jump out there and see him. But overall, far as pass or fail goes, I gotta give Robert Plant's 10th studio album, Lullaby and the Ceaseless War, a pass. Definitely grab this album. You all will not be disappointed. Meantime, if there's a album you'd like for me to check out, post your comments down below. If I have the time, I'll definitely do my best to check it out. And who knows, if I feel it's on point, I'll definitely review it on a future album review edition of the RCWR show. If it's your first time checking us out, love to have you subscribe to us so you never miss out on all the great content that we do for you here on a weekly basis. We do a little bit of everything, whether it comes to album reviews, breaking news, covering movies. We do a little bit of something for everybody, even you big wrestling fans that's out there. We got you guys hooked up as well, so make sure you show some love and subscribe to us so you can keep checking out our content. In the meantime, that's going to do it. Please make sure you give this piece a thumbs up, and make sure you share this. You can do it a number of ways by retweeting it, Facebooking it, Google Plusing it. Always one of the best ways you can spread a good word about our content. And in the meantime, that's going to do it. I wish all of you all to be safe. Most importantly, be kind to one another. See you next go around. Everybody, take care.